بكت كل يوم كل الكائنات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: والذين يصلون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويخشون ربهم ويخافون سوء الحساب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. When we were born, we were surrounded by family members. Our mother, our father, maybe some siblings were there to greet us when we were born. When we die, we'll be surrounded by family members. Children, perhaps, sons, daughters, grandchildren, they'll be surrounding us at the time we depart to say goodbye to us. You see, my dear friends, our family will always be there. They were there to greet us in this life when we entered, and they will be there for us to bid us farewell when we depart and when we leave. No one else will do that. No one else can replace our family. Not money, not friends, not business, nothing material, and no person, no other institute or institution or group can replace our family members. There are some that try to substitute family members with pets or with friends or with work or with hobbies. It doesn't work. Your family will always be with you from the moment you enter this world till the moment that you leave. And there's nothing that can replace your family. They are irreplaceable. It's like a bodily limb. Can anything replace your hand? Absolutely not. Maybe technology is advancing and you could have a fake hand, a electronic hand, but will it be the same as your actual hand? No. There's not, because nothing can replace your bodily organ. And the same goes for family members. Family members cannot be replaced, even if they're not perfect. Even if your family members have let you down, have disappointed you, have not always been there for you when you needed them. Perhaps they've embarrassed you at some point of your life. They were not there for you, they let you down. But still, family is family. Family is irreplaceable. Family cannot change. There's nothing that should come before your family. Family first. It's family first and family last. And it's always about family. Family is a priority. We should make our family a priority. Whether it's our parents, or our children, or our siblings, and even cousins and distant relatives, even uncles and aunts. Family is family. Your family is your first school. What you learn, the ethics that you learn, the manners that you learn, the language that you learn, the religion that you learn, it all comes from your family. Your family is your backbone, your support, your support. It's your family that supports you to go to school, to get an education, to get a good job. It's your family that stood by your side and encouraged you and made you have self-esteem and have self-worth. It was your family members that stood by your side even when you failed, telling you that you could succeed the other time around. Your family is your comfort zone. It's who you go to at times of difficulties, at times when you're depressed and you're sad. You could be you with your family. You don't have to pretend with family members. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not with family members. Your family know who you are, and it's okay to be yourself with your family. They're your comfort zone. It's where you go to be you. You could say what you want to your family. You could behave in whatever way you want with your family without feeling ashamed, without feeling embarrassed. You don't put on theatrics. You don't put a performance in front of your family while we do with friends, with society, with people. But we don't do that with family members. Your family is your happiness, and it's your sadness. Your family brings you happiness. Any good that happens to them, it happens to you. Anything that brings them happiness, it brings you happiness, because you are happy to see your family be happy. And your family is also your sadness as well. Your sadness comes from family members. If something evil, if something bad happens to a family member, you will be sad. Your family is your emotions, whether it's happiness or it's sadness. Your family is what stays when everything changes and go away. Your family doesn't change. Some friends might change from high school to college to work, and then when you get married in the early years, and then when you have children, and then when you start a business, friends change. Friends don't always stay the same. There are some friends that stay the same and they don't change, and they're friends of a lifetime. But there are friends that come and go. But family members are there to stay. Your family members will never change. A sibling will never change unless death do you part. Your family will always be there. They will always be there for you. There are some people, unfortunately, they think that if they have money, they don't need family. If they have friends, they don't need family. If they own a nice house and a nice car, and they have a vacation house, and they go on vacations and they travel, they don't need a family. Wanting a family, needing a family is for the poor, is for the homeless, those who don't own, those who can't travel, those who don't have friends, those who don't have pets. This is not true. You could be the richest person on earth. You have all the money in the world, but you still need family. You still need your parents. You still need you need your children. You need your siblings. You could own 10 homes, but if you don't have family, you still feel incomplete. Your family completes you. Your family makes you satisfied. Your family makes you happy. Family's everything. Family's everything. But do we realize this gift? Islam, my dear friends, because family is so important, Islam comes and emphasizes on family and family values. Islam comes and tells us that there is no better institution than the family institution, than the institution of family. ما بني في الإسلام بناء خير من الزواج. There is no institution built in Islam better than marriage. Why? Because marriage is family. It's the smallest component of a family. A husband and a wife. And then they have children. And then they have grandchildren. And that's how a family starts. It's the basic block of a family. It is the greatest institution in the eyes of Islam. That is why there is emphasis on getting married in Islam. Islam is against celibacy. Islam is against saying that I will remain single all my life. I don't need anyone in my life. I don't need to get married. Why should I have someone? Islam is against this. Islam is against celibacy. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say, تناكحوا تناسلوا تناكحوا تناسلوا فإني أباهي بكم الأمم يوم القيامة ولو بالسقط. Get married, reproduce, have children, have a wife, have a husband. You ladies, don't be celibate. Get married, have a husband, have children, reproduce. Don't stay single. Don't stay without children. There's an emphasis on harmony between spouses because Islam wants a marriage to succeed. There's emphasis on which spouse to choose, what qualities to look for. There's an emphasis on having children and how to raise children, how to raise proper children. All of this because Islam cares about family. All of this because Islam knows that family comes first. Islam knows that family is your backbone. It's your support. It's your happiness. It's your sadness. Islam emphasizes on family because it's the family that greets you when you come into the world. It's the family that says goodbye to you when you leave this world. A hadith by one of the Imams, he says, وَأَكْرِمْ عَشِيرَتَكَ. Honor your relatives, honor your family, honor your tribe. فَأَنَّهُمْ جَنَاحَكَ الَّذِي بِهِ تَطِيرُ. Because they are your wings that you fly with. Subhanallah. It's like a bird that has wings. Can a bird fly without wings? No. Similarly, a person cannot fly without his family. Your family gives you wings. They allow you to fly, to be free. It's your family that stays by. وَأَصْلُكَ الَّذِي إِلَيْهِ تَصِيرُ. And your family is your origin. Don't forget your origin. وَيَدُكَ الَّتِي بِهَا تَصُولُ. And it is your hand that you use in this life. This is family. Now, there are parents who complain of having difficult children, especially difficult teenagers. There's some parents that say we have teenagers that we cannot deal with. We're having a difficult time dealing with our teenagers. They don't listen. They don't take advice. They don't take orders. They don't follow rules. They break the rules of the house. They break the rules of the family, and so on and so forth. So that there are some parents that complain of difficult teenagers who have bad friends. They have friends that have bad influence on them. There are parents that complain of their children who do drugs. They've become drug addicts. There are some that complain of their kids who don't do good in school. They say, our kids don't do good in school. They stay out. They stay out late. They go out with their friends and they come back almost in the morning. They're out all night. They talk back. You try to admonish them, you try to advise them, but they talk back. They fight all the time. Some parents say, my kids always fight with me. They fight with their siblings. They're always wreaking havoc. Our house is unstable because of the teenager that we have at home. You see, my dear friends, sometimes you have to understand your children in order to deal with them before ordering them around, before setting rules and guidelines and laws. You have to understand your children. You have to see where they're coming from. You have to understand the challenges in their lives. Before you judge them, before you say that my teenager is a waste, complete waste, because of the reasons mentioned above. No, hold on a second. Do you understand your teenager? Do you know why they do what they do? Do you know why they're doing drugs? Why is it they're doing drugs? Is it for recreational purposes? Or maybe they have a problem. Maybe they're going through depression. Maybe there's a problem in their lives that you don't know about. This is very important that we try to understand our children, understand their fears, understand their insecurities, understand why they do the things they do. Why do they live in seclusion? There's some parents, they say that my kids, they live in seclusion. They're in their rooms all the time. My teenage daughter or son is in their room all the time. They don't come down for lunch. They don't come down for dinner. We never see them. Well, why? You have to try to understand. Be understanding. Maybe they have a problem. Maybe there's a problem in their life. Maybe they have insecurities. Maybe they have fear. Maybe it's the way they look. Maybe they're being bullied at school. Maybe someone's making fun of them at school, in a class. Maybe they have a bad teacher who's mistreating them or is disrespecting them, putting them down in front of everyone at school. You know, teenagers go through peer pressure, especially during high school years. It's a very difficult time because they have to look in a special way, they have to dress in a special way, they have to date, they have to go out, they have to listen to music, they have to do sports. It's expected of them socially. So when they can't do these things, or because they have a problem physically, they're overweight maybe, or you have to understand, what is the problem in your child's life? They're going out all day, or they stay up all night with friends, or they smoke cigarettes, or they do drugs. You have to try to discover, what is the problem? Understand your children. Understand their challenges. Understand their insecurities and fears. Perhaps there's a problem going on. Perhaps you're the problem. Sometimes we think that our kids are too difficult, but in reality, we're the ones that are difficult. We're pressuring our kids. We're pushing them to their boundaries. We're expecting from them more than they could handle. Unfortunately, there's many parents that are so busy because of work, because of business, because of what they do, that they have no clue what's happening in their children's lives. Who are their friends? Who are their friends? Where do they go out? They're going on a road trip. Where did they go? Who did they meet? Who are their friends? Are they good friends? Do they have good influence on our children, or do they have bad influence on our children? Do they smoke? Do they do drugs? What is it that they do when they're alone? We're clueless. We have no idea what our kids are doing. And then when they get in a mess, we get upset. And then we expect the Maulana, the Sheikh, the Sayyid at the local mosque to come and fix our problems. Here, Sayyid, fix my child. How can I fix your child? When you've ruined this child, when you've neglected this child for many years because you're busy making money, because you're busy in your business, or you're busy on social media, you're busy sharing videos on WhatsApp, you're on social media all day, or you're busy in politics, that you've neglected your children. And now you expect the Sayyid or a Sheikh to come in, perform miracles, to transform this child into a saint. This is not possible. This happened because of you, because of the parents, because of your neglect, because you didn't put family first. Your family wasn't a priority for you. You neglected your children. And any child who has too much freedom, who is not controlled, who is not monitored whatsoever, has unconditional freedom, obviously they'll misuse that freedom into getting themselves into trouble. This is expected. That's kids being kids. That's children being children. That's teenagers being children. Teenagers being teenagers. How many parents do we have that are friends with their children, with their teenagers? How many? Are we friends with our kids? Or do we speak to them condescendingly? We boss them around. We tell them what to do. Do this, do that. I will take this away from you. We speak in the language of threats. We threaten. We punish. But have we thought of speaking to them as friends? Treating them as friends? Having a one-on-one conversation with our children? By going out with them, by taking a walk, or going on a vacation with our children, or a road trip, and you just talk. You talk as a friend, don't talk as a parent. And see the results. See how your children will open up to you when they see you not as a parent, but as a friend, someone who they can confide in you. Someone they could come to you for advice. Not as a parent, but as a friend's advice, as a friend. If we're friends with our children, everything will change. If we engage with them, we embrace them, and we engage with them softly, not harshly, kindly, we'll see wonders. You know, sometimes we're very strict on our kids. No, that we don't need to be that strict. Nor should we be too soft. There are some parents that are very strict, that say no to everything to their children. They can't even go out to the park. Nor are we so soft that we allow our children to sleep at their friend's house all week long without even know who the friend is and what they do and where they are, and without even calling them. No, this is two extremes. We're not too strict. We shouldn't be too strict, nor too soft. Or be strict when necessary and be soft when necessary. Learn to be moderate. Learn to know what signs to show. At times that you need to be strict, you're strict. At times that you need to show softness, you show softness. That's moderation. That's a good parent. That's a parent that could raise good children. Also, some say, you know, my children are not like me. When I was their age, I would work, I would study, I would recite the Quran, I prayed on time, my hijab, my this, my that. You know, we judge our children the way that, according to how we were raised and how our parents treated us. So if my father was strict on me, I want to be strict on my kids. If my mother forced me to wear hijab, I'm going to force my kids to wear hijab. If you can't do that. You can't expect children to be treated the same way that your parents treated you. It doesn't work that way. Many of us, we were born and raised in the Middle East. Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Pakistan, India. Our children are raised in the United States of America. It's a different culture. It doesn't mean that everything has to change. It doesn't mean that we soften up. But it means that we don't have to imitate our parents. It means that we have to think logically and look at the circumstances. Don't judge your children based upon things 50 years ago. You can't, for example, not allow your children to have, for example, social media, because 50 years ago you didn't have social media. Of course you didn't have social media. There were no computers 50 years ago. There were no iPhones 50 years ago. Things have changed. The world has changed. You have to keep yourself up to date. Again, I emphasize, this doesn't mean that we soften up with our children. It doesn't mean that we let them have whatever they want. No, we have to be careful. We have to monitor our children. We have to speak to them. We have to be their friends. We have to see their challenges, what they're going through. But we don't repeat the mistakes of our parents or wanting to imitate our parents. It doesn't work that way. Also, there are some parents, they expect from their children to do things that they weren't able to do. For example, I didn't get into Harvard, so I want my child to get into Harvard. It doesn't work that way. You can't expect your children to work on things that you failed at. I couldn't be a doctor because I was poor, my parents were poor, so I had to do something else, work at a library, for example, but my child has to become a doctor. It doesn't work that way. You can't coerce your children to work or achieve your own goals. You wanted to become a doctor. You wanted to study at Harvard. You wanted to do this. You wanted to do that. And so now your children have to do it. And when they don't, you say, my children are so difficult. It doesn't work that way. Just because you didn't become a doctor, you wanted to become a doctor, but you failed, doesn't mean you have to force your children to be a doctor. You can't let your failures as a teen, as a youth, affect you as a parent in coercing your children to behave in a certain way or seek a certain path. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you have to let your children be. You want your child to become a doctor, but he wants to become a journalist. Let him become a journalist. Let them follow their passion. Don't enforce. Because when they fail, it will come back to you. They will say, you forced me. I didn't want to do this, but you forced me. Don't let them say that. They want to become a journalist, let them become a journalist. As long as they don't break any laws governmental laws, no religious laws. Let them be. He wants to become an athlete. Let him be an athlete. Encourage him to be the best that he could be, as long as he doesn't break any religious laws or governmental laws. Encourage them to follow their passion. It might not be your dream, but you'll have to let it go. He didn't become a doctor. Well, you didn't become a doctor either. You didn't make your parents proud. We didn't make our parents proud. Why should we expect our children to do the same for us? That's not normal. That's not appropriate, and it's not right. Times have changed. Our children come from a different generation. With every generation, there's a new culture. There's new technology. Worlds have changed. Everything has changed. People have changed. We can't expect to treat our children the way our parents treated us. Or we treat them according to the values of 50 years ago. We treat them according to the values of Islam. But we don't pressure. We don't drive them to run away from us. There's a hadith that say, may God curse the parents that drive their children to become disobedient. Disobedience to parents, uquq, is a very negative sin. It's a very harsh sin. It's a great sin. But some parents, they drive their children to become disobedient because they're harsh, they're strict, they make the lives of their children a nightmare. You can't do that. You can't do that. Also, you have to remember that your difficult teenager will one day change. No one stays a teenager for the rest of their lives. They will mature, they will grow, they'll go off to college, they'll gain knowledge, they'll gain education, their eyes will open up to the world and they'll change. Sooner or later, the difficult teenager that was not taking orders, that was disobedient, has now become a mature person, a mature adult, that knows the laws, that knows the rules, that knows the manners, that knows the etiquette. They change after a while. No one stays the same. So you don't have to worry so much. Don't drive them away. Don't have the attitude of, it's my way or the highway. You either follow my rules at home, or that's the door. You can see yourself to the door. Don't drive them out. Don't ever kick your children out of the house, no matter what they've done. No matter what they've done. They don't deserve to be kicked out. Because once you kick your child out of the house, you've lost control and you've lost them. They'll leave. They'll leave you. They'll easily leave you. They'll be embraced by 100 institutions, by 100 friends. They'll leave you. Don't leave your children. Don't drive them out of the house. Don't force them to leave you out of the house. Let's teach by example. Sometimes ordering around our children doesn't bring results. We need to lead by example. Let me present a good example for my children, and they'll follow. If I'm honest, if I'm trustworthy, if I don't, fool people, taking their money, if I live a straight life and I set an example for my children, if I live a God-fearing life, and I set that example for my children, I pray, I fast, I recite Quran, and at the same time I implement religion in my life, not just through salah and sawm. This is required, but this is not just religion. Religion is not just salah and sawm. Religion is also honesty, trustworthiness, being kind to people, to help people, to volunteer, to not be selfish. If I set a good example, my children will follow. So it's about being a good parenting requires setting a good example. Have talks with your children. How many of us sit and talk with our kids? Just sit and talk. Ask about school. Ask about their work. Ask about their friends. And talk casually. Don't talk with a tone of, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? No, talk to them casually. Have regular trips, and they will open up to you. They will open up to you. There you can take your chance to advise, to admonish, to educate, to set a good example, to tell them what is right and what is wrong. And sometimes, my dear friends, sometimes you have to compromise. It can't be your way or the highway. Sometimes you have to give and take. It's not all about taking. Even with kids, you can't expect them to obey you in everything that you say. There are some things they'll have to compromise. Some minor things you'll have to compromise for the bigger things. For example, a haircut. Your son wants a haircut. As long as it does not fall in haram, it doesn't fall in anything very negative, sometimes you have to compromise. But in order to get your son to, as long as he prays and fasts, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, but he wants to have a special haircut, let them have his haircut. Sometimes you have to compromise in order to give and take. You can't be strict in everything. You can't lay down the law in everything. We don't live in the wild, wild west. It doesn't work that way anymore. You're not a cowboy. You have to give and take. There has to be compromise, even with dealing with children. Now, sometimes it's the other way around. It's children that deal with difficult parents. And yes, there are difficult parents. There are parents that are understanding. There are parents that enforce their views. There are parents that want to get involved in every aspect of a child's life. Their school, their work, their business, their marriage, their children, their clothing, their car, their house, their finances, their credit card bills. There's parents like this. They don't give you privacy, or they're too needy. There are some parents that need attention, that want attention. They want your attention all the time. Even when you're married, they feel that your spouse has stolen their attention. Your wife has taken the attention from your mother. And sometimes that's why there's tension between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law, between your mother and your wife. Why is there tension? Because they're both fighting over your attention. Your wife wants your attention, and your mother. Sometimes your mother feels that your wife has taken away all the attention. I'm not saying all mothers. No, of course not. But there are some, they feel that their daughter-in-law has taken all the attention away. So they cause tension. They get involved. Well, why did your wife do this? Why did your wife do that? And the fights continue, and there's tension, and there's problems. There's difficult parents. We have to admit this. We have to admit that there are some parents that are difficult. They ruin their kids' lives. They're too needy. They want attention. There are some parents that favor one sibling over the other. They differentiate between siblings. They take sides. They favor one sibling over the other, and this creates division and tension between the siblings themselves. So what do? Do we put them at a nursing home or a home for the elderly? What do we do with our parents? My dear friends, we have to deal with it. The Quran tells us that our parents we have to deal with. There's no getting by. It's our parents. At the end of the day, it's my father, it's my mother. No matter how difficult they are, no matter what all the problems and difficulties they've created in my life, but it's my mother, it's my father. They brought me to this life. They took care of me. My mother had sleepless nights. She cared for me. My father cared for my father went and worked out in the fields, and from his sweat and pain, he made a living for me. Now I neglect them because I'm annoyed by them. This is wrong. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Holy Quran, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah has ruled, قَضَى رَبُّكَ, has judged that you don't worship anyone other than Allah, and kindness to parents. See? First, worship none other than Allah. Tawheed, it's first Tawheed, and then it's parents. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And then, see, Allah knows that when parents become old, they're no longer wanted. Why? Because they become naggy, their akhlaq changes, their manners change, they become angry individuals, they yell, they shout, they lose patience. It comes with old age, and this will happen to us. We will also become old, and all the things that we complain about our parents now, we will go through. We will go through. The Quran knows this. The Quran says when they become old, don't yell at them, don't shout at them. No, be kind to them. إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما. If one of them becomes old or both of them become old, فلا تقل لهما أف. Don't say uff. Don't say this to them. ولا تنهرهما, and don't shout at them. Don't scold them. Don't yell at them. وقل لهما قولا كريما. Say to them a gentle word. Speak to them gently. Speak to them softly. Say something kind to them. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. And lower your wings of mercy for them. You know, when a bird is showing humility and like someone, they lower their wings. They don't raise. When you raise your wings, that means you're about to attack. You're showing off. Right? You're putting your guard up. But when you lower your wings, you're showing humility. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. Show them humility by lowering your guard, lowering your wings. وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ صَغِيرًا. And say, my Lord, have mercy upon them for raising me when I was a child. رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ صَغِيرًا. For raising me as a child. When they had mercy upon me when I was a child, my mother didn't sleep, my father didn't sleep. My mother would wake up every 30 minutes, every hour to breastfeed me, to take care of me, to watch over me. I slept comfortably when my mother had to stay awake. Have mercy upon them, O Allah. Have mercy upon my mother, and upon my mother, and upon my father. In another verse, Allah says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانِ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. And we reminded man or humans of their mothers, of their parents. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. His mother carried him. عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ. It was his mother that carried him with weakness, with pain. And another verse, وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If they tell you to perform shirk, do not obey them. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. And be a companion of them, live with them in a good way, in a positive way. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيَّ ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ. The Quran reminds us of our parents, to take care of our parents. The Quran doesn't tell us to take care of our children. But the Quran tells us to take care of our parents. Why? Because we'll never neglect our children. It's biological. It's in our system. No one needs to tell us to take care of our children. But we need to be told to take care of our parents because we'll neglect them. We'll forget them. We need to appreciate our parents, my dear friends, because a day will come where they'll depart us. They'll leave us. Here they're guests. They're only here temporarily. As are we. We are also guests. But perhaps we'll outlive our parents and we'll die after them. So for us, they are guests. Let's appreciate them while they are here, because when they're gone, we'll have regrets. We'll regret why we treated them. And even if they were bad to us, although I don't believe that our parents can be bad parents. Yes, they could be sometimes negative. Sometimes they could harm us without knowing. Even if they were like that, let's be kind to them. Otherwise, one day will come and we'll regret it. Sometimes the difficulty is not with parents and children. There's difficult children, there's difficult parents, there's difficult siblings sometimes. Sometimes your siblings are the ones that cause you a headache and a problem. Why? Because sometimes there's jealousy and envy amongst siblings. Yes, brothers who are envious of each other. Sisters that are envious of each other. If one brother is smarter than the other. If one brother is more handsome than the other. If one sister is more beautiful than the other. There could be envy. There could be jealousy. There could be grudges for many years. amongst siblings. Sometimes one sibling can make the life of another sibling a living hell. This happens because of envy and jealousy. Didn't we read in Surah Yusuf that the brothers of Yusuf were envious of their brother Yusuf? When he had his dream, he saw the sun and the moon and the stars bowing to him. What did his father say? قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا أن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. Don't tell your dream to your brothers, because they might plan an evil plan for you. So there's envy and jealousy between siblings. We all know this. But still, we have to be patient. What do we do to siblings that make our lives hell, a living hell? Do we cut off our ties with them? Do we return the favor? No. We be patient. We handle it. We take it like a man. We handle it. We show patience. Because these are our siblings. It's my brother. It's my sister. How can I cut off my ties with a family member? This is wrong. This is قطع الرحم. وَالَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ, as we recited in the beginning of the lecture. Allah ordered us to strengthen our ties with family members, not to cut our ties with family members. Even if it's a sibling, be patient. It's okay. It's okay. Be patient. No matter how evil they are, or how envious they are, or how jealous they are, be patient and see who the winner is at the end of the day. See who will win at the end of the day. Who will be successful at the end of the day. Who will win God's favor at the end of the day. The one who's patient. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلتَّقْوَى. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلتَّقْوَى. The good ending, if you're looking for a good ending, the good ending is with those who are pious, those who are righteous, those who don't cut their ties off with family members. Those who extend their hand even if their family members don't extend their hand. صِلْ مَنْ قَطَعَكَ. If you have a sibling that doesn't want to talk to you, you talk to them. If you have a sibling that doesn't want to message you, you message them. Who doesn't want to help you, you help them. Who doesn't want to lend you money, you lend them money. And look at the results of your deeds. Look at what will happen. You will see wonders. Salat al-Rahim. It will prolong your life. It will prolong your life. And those who cut off their ties from their family members, it shortens their life. قطع الرحم. قطع الرحم shortens their lives. So have a good relationship with your siblings. Even when you're older. Stay connected. It's very important. These are family values, my dear friends. A family is irreplaceable. Stay connected with your family members, with your siblings, with your brothers and sisters. Islam tells us that even if our family members are not Muslim, or they're not followers of Ahlul Bayt, connect with them. Show them kindness. Be good with them. Abu Basir, one of the companions of Imam al-Sadiq, he asks him, he says, عن الرجل يصرم ذوي قرابته ممن لا يعرف الحق. He says he cuts his ties off with family members that are not followers of Ahlul Bayt, that don't follow the truth. He tells him, لا ينبغي له أن يصرمه. He should not have cut their ties off with his family members. Why? Just because your relative is a non-Muslim or a non-follower of Ahlul Bayt. On the contrary, be good to them. You will draw them to Islam. You will draw them to Ahlul Bayt. Instead of cutting your ties, be good to them, to family members. We'll draw them closer. Let's ask about our family members, about our relatives, not just siblings, cousins, uncles, aunts, distant relatives. At the end of the day, their family, their rahim. Ask about them. Today, it's become easy. You don't need to spend money. Phone calls are not just cheap, they're free. Through social media, you could call during Eid, during holidays, during special events. Call them and don't send generic messages. Please, don't send generic messages to friends. It won't kill you to send a message to family members, to relatives. Ask about them. This will prolong your life. This will increase your sustenance. This will increase your rizq. Salatul Rahm. It has a major effect. And when we look at Ashura, when we look at Karbala, we see that Karbala is all about family values. It's all about family values. Imam Hussein alayhi salam started with his family. He started his movement with his family. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when he left Medina and he came to Karbala, he came with his family. He came with his brother Al-Abbas and his brother Ja'far and Uthman and Abdullah, the brothers of Abu Fadl Abbas and the brothers of Imam Hussein. He brought his sons, he brought his nephews, he brought his daughters, he brought his sisters. He brought them all with him to Karbala. We see family values in Karbala. We see how family is important in Karbala. We see Wahab, who came with his mother and wife and who fought together in the cause of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We saw the little boy that lost his father and asked Imam Hussein for permission to fight, and whom his mother encouraged him to fight for the sake of Imam Hussein. These are family values, family helping one another in the cause of Allah and for the sake of Imam Hussein, who went to the battlefield saying, Amiri Husaynun wa ni'mal amir, surur fu'ad al-bashir al-nadhir, علي وفاطمة والداه فهل تعلمون له من نظير. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when his companions all died and the turn came to Bani Hashim, he started with his son Ali al-Akbar, his son, his family member, his eldest son. Ali al-Akbar came to his father and he asked for permission to fight. Imam Hussein alayhi salam did not say no. All others who asked for permission to fight Imam Hussein would say no, except his son Ali al-Akbar. He didn't say no. He started to cry. And he said, he raised his head to the sky. He said, Allahumma ashhad ala ha'ula al-qawm. Faqad baraza ilayhim ghulam ashbahu an-nas khalqan wa khuluqan wa mantaqan bi rasulik. Oh Allah, bear witness at this group of people. For a person who is most similar to Rasulullah in his features, in his demeanor, in his speech, closest to Rasulullah. He is similar to Rasulullah. وَكُنَّا إِذَا اشْتَقْنَا إِلَى نَبِيِّكَ نَظَرْنَا إِلَى وَجْهِ هَذَا الْغُلَامِ. If we were to miss your Prophet, would look at the face of this young man. And then he spoke, he addressed Umar ibn Sa'd. He said, قَطَعَ اللَّهُ رَحِمَكَ كَمَا قَطَعْتَ رَحِمِي وَلَمْ تَرْحَمْ قَرَابَتِي مِنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ وَلَمْ تَرْعَ قَرَابَتِي مِنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. May Allah bereave you of your family members the same way that you bereaved me of my family members. Ali al-Akbar entered the battlefield. He fought bravely. He killed scores of the enemies, and then he came back asking his father for some water. Imam Hussein alayhi salam made a gesture letting him know that I am more thirsty than you, my son. I am more thirsty than you. Before Ali al-Akbar came back to the camp, his mother Layla came out of the battlefield. She would look at the face of Imam Hussein. It turned pale. He was waiting. He was anticipating what would happen. She asked him, my master, has something happened? Has something befallen my son Ali al-Akbar? He said, no, but a champion has come out to face him. I fear for my son Ali al-Akbar. Go in your tent and pray for him. Layla came into her tent. She faced the Qibla and she started asking Allah. Allahumma bi'atashi Abi Abdullah. Ilahi bi'ghurbati Abi Abdullah. إلهي بعطش أبي عبد الله يا راد يوسف إلى يعقوب رد إلي ولدي. Ali al-Akbar comes back. He comes to his father asking for water. Imam Hussein tells him that I do not have water. I am thirstier than you. Go back to the battlefield, my son, and do not come back. Win your martyrdom. Ali al-Akbar went and he fought until he was struck on his head. He began to bleed. The horse couldn't see his way. Instead of bringing him to the camp of Imam Hussein, he took him to the enemy soldiers. They surrounded Ali al-Akbar from every direction and began cutting him into pieces. Ali al-Akbar shouted to his father, "Abatah, عليك مني السلام هذا جدي قد سقاني بكأسه الأوفى شربة لا أظمأ بعدها أبدا." Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he came and he saw the scattered body pieces of Ali al-Akbar everywhere. He started collecting his body pieces. He sat next to his son. He put his cheek on the cheeks of Ali al-Akbar, but that did not calm his heart. He put his chest on the chest of Ali al-Akbar. And then he said, "ولدي علي على الدنيا بعدك العفا أما أنت فقد استرحت من هم الدنيا وغمها وخليت أبوك وحيدا." My son Ali, what life is not worth living after you. As for you, you have departed this ugly, this dirty life, and you've kept your father alone. ولدي علي على الدنيا بعدك العفا. Ali al-Akbar passed away. Imam Hussein alayhi salam could not carry his son Ali al-Akbar. Historians say that wherever he carried some pieces of the body, other pieces of the body would fall. Finally he looked towards his camp and he called Bani Hashim and he said, "Halummu wahmilu akhakum Ali, come and carry your brother Ali back to the tent." Imam Hussein came back. His sister Zainab was waiting for him. My dear brother, where is Ali al-Akbar? Is there any news of Ali al-Akbar?" He said, "Go and see his body parts laying on the battleground." Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العلي الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا خوفا إلا آمنته ولا رزقا إلا بسطته ولا شملا إلا جمعته ولا مرضا إلا شفيته ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers of MYC and the IIA. Azzamallah ujurakum. May Allah accept your a'mal, may Allah accept your tears. For tonight we remember the youth, and specifically Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam, and the relationship between Imam al-Hussein losing his most beloved son. But he never hesitated in sacrificing Ali al-Akbar as the first of the Hashemites, the first of the Ahlul Bayt to go towards martyrdom. And in the poem it says, "No son means no father, my son Ali al-Akbar. No son means no father, my son Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Akbar." No son means no father, my son Ali al-Akbar. No son means no father, my son Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Akbar. I saw Hossein by his tent almost collapse, choking from his tears seeping through his teeth's gaps, as if his heart exploded or so perhaps, hearing his son cry, "Farewell, oh my father." Hearing his son cry, "Farewell, oh my father." He cried, "Where are you, my son?" with his voice hoarse. Ali Akbar's blood flowed and blinded his horse. It ran to them and their swords with no remorse broke apart the mirror of his great-grandfather. Broke apart the mirror of his great-grandfather. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar, Ali Akbar. Hossein rode like a bird to its nest rescue. The angel of death toward its prey it flew. Akbar sent no more, son, now I miss you. The eldest sat by Ali, the elder. The eldest sat by Ali, the elder. Cleaning Ali's wounds, his tears rained a monsoon. A sight that turned to tears, the harshest sand dune. I saw the sun cradling the shattered moon. The moon soul left burnt by the sun's despair. The moon soul left burnt by the sun's despair. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar, Ali Akbar. Each tear that fell on Akbar's blood caused ripples. From grief earth forgot that the sun it circles. And here a father with his own soul grapples, trying to not let it leave Karbala. Trying to not let it leave Karbala. No father can bear the loss of his own son. No father can bear the loss of his own son. When your head was struck, I felt crippled the sun. When your soul left my son, I felt mine had gone. And my lifeless body could move no further. And my lifeless body could move no further. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. No son means no father, my son Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar, Ali Akbar. Are you not Ali? Are you not Muhammad? I see a youth drowned in the blood that he shed. To the edge of death, oh my beloved, I'm led. Because I'll see you again thereafter. Because I'll see you again thereafter. Hossein takes him to his tent, his last abode. Hussein takes him to his tent, his last abode. His mother sees him walk and taunts her the road. From Wales the pupils in her eyes explode. What mother buries her son What mother buries a son? What mother? No son means no father. My son Ali Akbar. No son means no father. My son Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar. علي الأكبر. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله غير الهادي مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبي الفضل العباس واخته زينب جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته.
كل الكائنات